So today's project, I started this project back in November 2022. It's just the time of this recording, it's the first week of May. Finished the project. Replacing a pole fence in my backyard. I have about an acre of property. The entire back part of my property needed to basically have new pole fence installed. I literally had like one pole that had basically disintegrated so much that it had fallen over. Here's a picture. I'll throw a picture up here. And basically this was in November, and I have a dog, and I didn't want the dog getting out into the neighbor's yard. So that kind of started this whole thing. Once I started going down all the poles, and I have probably about 20 poles across the back of my yard. They're about 11 feet, separate from each of them. I found out probably, I'd say 95% of them were fully rotted out. They're just kind of sitting there. The metal mesh that was holding the fence up, and the rails were basically the only thing holding this fence up. So I just slowly but surely started methodically going down the line and replacing them. I'd take an hour here, an hour there, a weekend here, replace 3 or 4 posts. You can go get posts and rails. They're probably 15, 16 bucks at any of your big box hardware stores. So I went and got them and just ripped out the old ones and just dug with some post hole diggers. Some of basically the foundation, took out some of the old stuff. Some of the old organic stuff was there. Some of the old post was still rotted in there, so sometimes I would just pull the whole thing out. Other times it was so rotted I just had to dig real down. And I used some of the silica fence post fix-it stuff. Different than concrete. Concrete, it's a little more expensive though, but like it saves you a tremendous amount of time as opposed to waiting for concrete to dry before you can actually do anything. These basically set up in a couple minutes and they're fully cured in like 2 hours, but you could basically start working after about 5 minutes on the post too. So, and it just looks like expanding foam. It's a little bag, you kind of mix the 2 components together, you break a seal, you cut an end off, pour it in there, it expands like expanding foam in a couple minutes. And it worked out really well. It's closed cell, so I think closed cell is the one that's waterproof. It's waterproof, whichever one of those two, closed cell or open cell, is waterproof. A little more expensive than concrete, but the time and labor and not having to carry bags of concrete and all that kind of stuff, it was worth it. Price per pole replacement between the pole and the bag fix, you're looking at probably about 30 bucks. So it got a little pricey, but I think in the end of the day, after I replaced everything, we're still looking about like $1,200, $1,500 in total price, which is a relatively, if anyone is relatively inexpensive to replace an entire fence, basically like a large fence. What you're going to see in this video is basically like me doing the last probably 3 or 4 into the corner and down the little side of the whole thing. So it's the culmination of like, let's say, what's that, 5 months? No, it's 7 months, but like 2 of the months were like winter time, so the ground was frozen, so I didn't really deal with it. So yeah, just casually doing a little bit here, there, and there. My kid helped me out because, what 3-year-old doesn't want to go dig in the dirt with dad? While fun, wasn't necessarily the most time-effective part of the whole thing. But yeah, so here you're looking at like basically me wrapping up the entire project at the end, and you can kind of see it. But, yeah, enjoy. Fence post, first time I did it, but pretty easy project. A lot more labor than really anything else, but if you got a strong back and the ability to lift a couple pounds, some heavy posts, there you go. Here you go. Check it out. So here you can see I take out the post mix and I start putting it into the post. I rolled it out over my leg, dropped it in the post. Now I'm just checking for plumb, square, all the good stuff, making sure everything's nice and straight, level. As you can see, the kid is supervising too, and I'm just kind of holding it there for a little bit until until it fills up. Right here is where I found probably the most remnants of one of the poles in the ground. It wasn't fully thing, but as you can see, I'm struggling getting it out. Here it goes, nice and slow motion for you of me pulling what is left of fence post. This is about the biggest piece of fence post I found during this entire thing. Everything else is pretty much rotted away. And as you can see, that fence post isn't in great shape either. That thing should be like 6 inches wide, 6x4 wide depth, and it's just literally just a little old rotted post. And that's about all that was holding everything up. And as you can see, the boy's back up from his nap, so he came right out to help me again. Same process, basically establish and install a post. I work to the left, so I fill the rails back in to the right, if that makes sense. So it's like basically post, rail, fill them in, establish another post, fill the rails in. It just kind of like going like that one by one makes it a lot easier. Here I am in the corner. The corner needed the most help. It was brutal. It was barely anything was sitting there. So basically, right immediately to my right, you can see a little bit of asphalt. That's the neighbor's driveway. And there's Darby checking me out. And then there's a better shot of the driveway with the cattle catchers they have. So again, just kind of putting everything in there. I'm basically dry fitting the corner post right now. And I have put nothing in it. But once I got the rails established, I just kind of threw all the tools over there. There I am in the corner with another bag of the fence post filler. And again, same process, put everything in, load it all up, hold it plumb, level, square, all the dimensions, and just kind of hold it there for a little bit until it sets. Obviously, this is a time lapse, so it sets, not that fast. And then I'll go back. This is me going back basically and filling in. I'm in the neighbor's yard now, filling in all those posts with just leftover dirt over the top. So filling in all the dirt. And then, that's good to go. So I fill in the dirt and then
basically now I'm done with the property line between my neighbor and I. And here I am digging the final posts along the driveway, the final 2 posts along the driveway.
Sometimes you find some dirt down there. I mean, the old post, sometimes it's so disintegrated it's gone, but the good news is if it's disintegrated, it makes the ground really soft. Oh, I think I hit a pocket of some sort because that just went in really easy. Oh, there's still something in there. A lot of roots from these vines, but nothing like major, like a tree or anything. I don't know if you can see this, but there's actually markers on the side of the... We gotta get down to about 36 inches, so maybe another 4 inches until we're below the frost line. It's not terrible. Just a couple big scoops and then clear it out. Man, I'm ready to rip this deer blind out. The previous owners installed it. It sucks. Cat. Well, Darby's outside, so I'm waiting for her to see this cat because she goes ape shit. What up, kitty cat? You avoiding Darby dog? Funny thing is about that cat, nobody in this neighborhood owns that cat. That cat's from like 2 blocks over that way. But she hangs out over here because, I don't know, she likes the area. Somebody feeds her. All my dog does is bark at her. Rip this whole deer blind out. As I was saying with the deer blind, previous owners installed it, and it's more of a hassle than getting deer out. Actually, since this guy doesn't have deer blind back here, the deer jump into my yard, they can't get out. I've had deer run through my brand new metal aluminum fence over there because of it. I'd rather have them an easier way for them to jump in, because where I live, I'm not keeping them out. I live in a damn country, and this is ugly. As soon as it starts falling apart, which is basically now, I want to just rip it out. But that's another project for another day. Today, we're finishing fence posts. Darby's digging again. We're stuck on something. What are we stuck on? Root. What's going on? There we go. All right. I might not need all this. Okay. So this works. You just take it, roll one end into the other end until it bursts. You'll see it burst. There it goes. It's burst. Give it a nice little roll. This stuff definitely works better in hot weather. It mixes faster. There's a chemical reaction that happens, and it's basically like expanding foam, but it's closed cell. I believe that's closed cell. It's stuff that's waterproof. You just kind of pour it in, pour it around. It looks like expanding foam, basically. Like I said, it's a little pricey because because it's like a bag of this. Actually, funny enough, when I started buying these, a bag was like 15 bucks and it jumped to like 16 some change. And you got to make this move before this reaction happens. But you get a couple minutes of setup time. Once you feel the bag starting to get hot, you're like, okay, the reaction started, so. Going. Okay, that's level. And that needs to be pushed forward. And then you give it a little bit. And you'll see it to start expanding. And depending on how wide your hole is, you might need a second bag. It's one of the reasons I try to keep the holes relatively small. So I'll tilt this a little bit. As you see it start to expand. And usually when it's warmer, it happens faster. But if it's too cold, you can't do anything about it. It just takes longer. There it goes. But now I actually have a corner that, well, belongs there. Well, these ants on these posts. There it goes. Yeah, it just basically expands out through the hole. So, board's level though. Pole's level though. Yeah, we're gonna only need the one bag because it'll get to the top, and then if it goes over the hole and like spews out, you can literally just kind of cut it like you would. I use a drywall saw and just cut it with a drywall saw, just kind of like I'm cutting drywall, or like you would cut expanding foam. But it's still, there's a little twist in this I'm trying to get out here. That's good. Oh, there. So right now it's very tacky. It's, you see, it's tacky. It was very hot. But I could pour some of this out. It's very tacky. But that'll dry and solidify probably within the next 5 minutes. And then it'll be very like foam-like. I should get some of these vines out of there. Give it a couple more minutes and then we'll be good too. Yeah, it's more expensive than concrete, but it's lighter. It's easier to kind of move between from post to post. So the benefit of speed is a good thing. It's lighter. It doesn't take as long to cure up, and you can leave it there. You don't need to mix concrete. You don't need to carry bags of concrete, but you are spending probably 15 bucks a bag versus a few bucks for some Quikrete. But each one of these posts, they were running about 15 when I started buying them. Now they're about 17. The the post fix is about 16, was like 15, and the rails were probably like 14. Now they're like 15, 16. So one entire setup, you're about 30 bucks between the post and the thing, but it's still definitely cheaper than anything else. So that's also what I had here. Yeah, and there's some down this aisle that'll fix, but the major ones that were literally falling apart are all done. And then what I'll do is I'll let this fully cure. I'll come back in an hour or so, put the dirt back on top, smooth out the dirt, and then I'll refasten the fence to the posts. There's one more post over there. I think I'm going to do that post tonight because I have time. But this is, this is good enough to, yeah, it's like not going anywhere, and that'll be like fully good to go. Okay. So a lot of the rails were good. Some were like straight up rotted. That I had no choice but to replace them. Yeah, these things ain't going anywhere. And then basically the entire run of the back of the house. And there's my dog, Darby, already trying to dig some of it up. Hey, 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 what are you doing? Hey, stop. Stop, 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 stop. Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. Yep, all the way back here. Here's what's left. Well, what I ripped out actually. All those posts. Had to cut down some of these Rose of Sharon. This is the post that started all. This one literally fell over in November and a dog would have gotten into the next door neighbor's yard. It's all overgrown now, but it was barren. That's pretty much what started it all. And I was like, I'll just do a couple more. So I went down here, down this way. I was like, shit, I might as well just do them all. So here, in this area, there used to be a giant berry garden. And then that's just a loose post, there's nothing there. But then a giant, arborvitae, I guess? Grew up, I mean, this thing's massive. But that's my property line, but like because of the berry patch, there was no fence there originally. So I need to actually like drill, but unfortunately like the 11 feet lands like right behind that tree. So either I gotta cut the tree out or put the post right behind it, which is the neighbor's yard, but actually I think my property marker's back there somewhere else. So I gotta put another post here, another post there, and then a new run here, but that was never existed before. So it's only about a 15-foot run, but there's a massive tree. Well, arborvitae actually, not an actual tree. So I gotta figure out what to do there. Right now there is something there to keep the dog from getting there. It's just this mesh stuff. Not that great. Also, ants all over these posts. Like they love them. I don't know if it's the chemical they treated on, it's an easier walkway for them, but they love these posts. Just walking all on down like highways. See what I mean by these ants? All over the bottom rung. These are new. I mean, somebody just replaced yesterday. All over the place. Ants. Wild.